and welcome to our first event for this Black History Month. So, we are having our Black authors, Black leaders, and today I am so glad and actually really pumped to have authors with me today, where we are going to be talking about the topic of books related to being yourself. And so today I have four authors with me that had, taken a chance of joining me with this event, and I'm really glad that we're able to do this today. So, welcome, ladies. So we're going to start with an icebreaker before we get to introduce each of our authors, just so that we get to know them a little bit. So if you are in the chat, feel free to share where you're from and maybe say hello, hi, while we do our icebreaker. And you're more than welcome to join us too. And if you are going to be watching this later, then you can always look at the playback. And I hope that you'll learn a lot today. So for my first question for our icebreaker, I'm going to be asking, do you prefer paperback or hardcover? Anyone can go first because I already have a preference.
I can definitely start. I love paperback. I absolutely love my paperback books. They're definitely easier for customers because sometimes, especially when it comes to the hardcover books, they do get expensive when you have to produce them. So I definitely, with all of my books, I always make the first round paperback books.
Mm. I do the
Hi,
same
my name
thing.
is Ciara. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no.
My name is Ciara, and I actually have a preference for hardcover. I really enjoy hardcover because as a parent, when I buy books, I feel like hardcovers are more durable and last longer, especially for like younger kids. I just love them, and most of my books come in hardcover, so that's my preference.
Mhm.
My name is Paula. I prefer hardcover books as well. Just growing up and being an avid reader of books, that's all I know is hardcovers, and they're just more sturdy. And then also as now a self-published author, it just feels so like I'm so legit now. And but yeah,
Mhm.
I think hardcovers.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ciara. I think I'm a combination of both. So I like the durability with the hardcover. You can do more with it. But I think for like the accessibility for more people and a more wider reach, I kind of like the paperback version because I can, market it in a less expensive way so more people can kind of have access to it. So I'm kind of a combination.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So let's go to our next question. What do you like best about being an author?
I can go first.
Mhm.
I remember when I was a child, I used to make up stories all the time. You call me a liar as a child, but they were stories for me. And I wrote a lot, and I had always envisioned myself being an author, but then adulthood got in the way. So now it's like I've transitioned from it being about me being a child to it's my passion, but I want to do it for other people, especially people of color. Just to be in the libraries now, it's like, oh, and this is the reaction of my parents' face. So, yeah.
And I absolutely agree with Paula. So I forgot to announce myself earlier. I'm Latoshia, and I absolutely agree. I am an avid reader, and I love all genre books. And with my two children, I make them also at the very beginning when they were younger. I constantly bought them books. Uh, I didn't just stick to one type for them. Anything that I found, I just gave it to them just because I just wanted them to get a love of reading, and not just stick to one type that I enjoy reading. So, as an educator, I read a lot, and I enjoy reading so much that I say, eventually, like my dream was always to eventually become a children's book author. But as the same thing, life always gets in the way, and we always find something else that takes our attention away. And then it just like one day I was like, I'm going to just write these books. I absolutely enjoy writing children's books, for my kids, for myself, and just, seeing the final product is what I love the most about it because it's your own ideas. that you just dreamed about one day, and then all of a sudden you have a physical copy of what you've been thinking about for years?
Well, I especially enjoy being a children's book author because of my background in mental health and working with children as a therapist. It's so great to have the ability to pour that knowledge, all the knowledge of all my experience into a children's book and give them the tools and skills to be able to like help them with their mental health and empower them, and give them some things that they can do to self-regulate their emotions and difficult emotions, especially now with year 3 of this pandemic. So it's great to have the ability to create literature about whatever your passions or your interests are. And so I enjoy being especially a children's book author because of that.
I would say for myself, what I like best about being an author is the fact that I can affect a future generation of children. So just knowing that I could hopefully positively inspire this next generation of children coming up, because when I was a child, there were no like Black books by Black authors. I cannot tell you one that was out there. So to be able to help change that narrative for my children and all the children after that inspires me. And then the other end of it, being a self-published author, I like the autonomy that it brings to be able to market and do things in a way that I feel is best.
Okay, thank you. So, which book have you read most recently?
Lately, I am reading my latest edition, which is Surrounded by Numbers. I've created books for the topic definitely of being yourself and self-love and confidence, but I went to like a totally different avenue. And my newest book is about early math skills. So I went to the total opposite spectrum of it. So I am definitely enjoying, just introducing vocabulary words for children, especially toddler age, for our math skills, what I'm focusing on currently.
Mhm.
Well, the book I'm reading right now, I just got recently, is called I Am My History. I got a recommendation for this book that was written by a Black male author off of Instagram. They're doing a lot of read alouds for Black authors on there through Lit for Black Kids. And so I'm just really excited about this book, especially for like my younger son. Just because it just talks about it's about empowering Black boys, Black men into feeling good about themselves and recognizing, like Ciara said, that you can have an impact on the generation by doing positive things. So I'm really excited about this book. It's by Brian Keith Harris. I Am My History, beautifully illustrated book by a Black male author.
I'll go. I love Vanessa Bentley Newton's book, Becoming Vanessa. I wish that book existed when I was a child, because what she experienced is a lot of what I experienced when I was a child. And like one of the authors says, unfortunately, we didn't have a lot of books that looked like us back then. And even if there were books that supposedly looked like us, many times I heard myself, my siblings saying, "That's not me, that's not me," because they look like animals. They were overly exaggerated characters. But if you read Becoming Vanessa, I mean, that book is awesome. I think a lot of Black girls can relate to that book.
The book that I read most recently, and I'm still kind of in the midst of it, is called Abundance Now by Lisa Nichols. And so it's one of those books that really just deals with like just amplifying and achieving like your goals and success. So sometimes I like to read those books just to keep inspiring me and keep me like on the right path of the things that I want to do and continue to achieve.
Okay, thank you. And our last icebreaker question is, what does your family think about your books?
My sons absolutely love the books because they're my main characters. So my books are definitely about my family. I use their names in my books, and I when I sent the illustrator their picture, a picture of themselves when they were toddlers, so the characters are drawn to look like them. So my youngest, who's definitely my main character of all of my books, he claims the books as his. So they definitely enjoy that they are the characters in my books.
Yeah, my kids love my books. My first book is about my son Trey, called Trey the Chef. Okay, I guess I can't get it. Oh, here it is. Good. So, I was inspired by my son to write a book about him having autism. And so my younger son is proud, who's his younger brother, is proud to tell everyone about that book and, like people in his class, anyone he meets. He's like, "When mommy, when are you going to do a book about me?" And I said, "It's coming, it's coming, it's coming." So they really enjoy my books. And in my books are pictures of my family. So they really enjoy seeing that, even though my younger son says he thinks it could be a little bit better, the illustration of him, but he still enjoys it. he's a very big critic. So it's like, why do we look like that? And Trey looks like this. So anyway, but he enjoys it. They all do.
My family has always been proud of me and very supportive, but now they're a lot more cocky now with people. They'll say, my sister Paula or my auntie Paula, she's an author. Here's her book. So they're like, they save me a lot on marketing and advertising because they're out there doing it for me. And then I'll never forget one of my neighbors' kids. Um, a Zoom for Zoom reading. I'm on Zoom and I'm trying to be not biased towards her. The next thing I hear her say, "She's my neighbor." School, and she's like, she invited me to do their school reading. So she all her was, "It's my neighbor," and I'm like, I'm just happy because it affects other people, and just that it's a Black girl and it's a quality. I'm just so proud that they're proud.
For my family, they enjoy the books, and I get a lot of inspiration from them, kind of like what everyone's saying. So when they can put their little 2 cents on what they think should happen, or with the character development, they feel good about it. My first book, Shiloh and the Line, is actually dedicated to my son. He's only 3 now, but he won't be able to fully appreciate it until he gets older. So I'm curious to know what he will think when he gets to that level of age, like 5 or 6, and can really understand the dynamics of the book a little bit more.
Okay, thank you very much, ladies. So now we are going to be doing the introduction. So maybe Latoshia, you want to start and to introduce yourself, and then we'll go to Ciara, and then Paula, and then we can finish with Ciara.
Okay, wonderful. Well, hi, everybody. It is definitely nice to see all of you. We are definitely all around the world right now. And I am so happy to be here. So definitely thank you for giving us the privilege to join you today. My name is Latoshia Martin. I live in Miami, Florida. I am a proud mother and wife of 2 young men, because they are definitely not babies. They have one 16-year-old and one 12-year-old. His birthday is actually today. So he's
Happy birthday to
definitely, yeah, he's around. They're definitely happy that, they know when mom is on her read aloud, they sit on the side and they watch and they listen. So I am definitely loving this journey of being an author. This is my first, year in business and being an independent children's book author. And it is definitely a roller coaster. I have learned so much in a year, and I just enjoy, creating the books that I have been doing. I started off with my first book, which inspired by my sons, which was Black Boy Be You. That was my very first book. And then, later on, my niece said, "Auntie Tasha, when are you gonna make a book for girls?" Because I have 2 boys, so a lot of my books are focused on on boys. So she asked me to make her a book. So that's when I definitely created one for my niece, and she is the main character in my book. So all of my books are definitely family oriented. They're my boys and my niece, and I have over the year have been very busy. I've I wrote 4 books so far. And it was kind of like an addiction. I enjoyed it so much that I was like, I just kept writing. So I have my 4th book out, which I think I love the most. Like each time I get a book, I'm like, oh no, I like that one the most. I like this one the most. But I honestly am just enjoying this journey of writing. I have been an educator for the last 16 years. So I'm using my background of teaching young children and talking to my own kids about, what are some of the things that they're dealing with? What are some of the skills that I notice in school that they're lacking or they need extra practice with. So I definitely focus with my books are focused on elementary age students, and I would definitely say toddler, where you can read it with them. And I focus on elementary, early literacy skills, and I also work on self confidence because that's definitely something that I noticed, unfortunately, over the past couple of years that. Especially on the young black males, that it's been tearing them down, not understanding why things are being done to them or said to them. So I've been focused on, increasing their own self love and just understanding that you're beautiful just the way you are. And I got that from my youngest, surprisingly, that, when we were home during quarantine, it was the same time that they were having the protests on TV, and we were sitting around and watching on TV. And he had a lot of questions about what was happening on TV and why is this going on and why are they protesting, why are they shooting. So I was like, I had that separate conversation with him, and I'm like, okay, well maybe other families are having the same conversation as I am, and how could you explain this really tough topic to younger kids? So that was definitely my inspiration to even start writing, with talking with my own children and understanding the confusion and the frustration that they might have of the situation that they see on their TV, and how can I help other parents talk talk about this subject with their own children.
Okay, thank you.
Hello again. And I would say, so there's a combination of different things when it comes to just the books and why I decided to do it. So my first book, Shiloh and Dande the Lion, very similar to her, that in the sense that I have a sweet spot for like Black boys because I have a son. And so wanting to just create something that allows them to have self-acceptance, and even more importantly, just being able to have a book that can help them overcome adversity. That was my goal, because they're all going to face hardships. All kids do, all humans do, but something that he can look back to, and other kids when they are having a tough time. And then the other book that I wrote is called Soulful Holidays. And this book is geared towards just the joy of the holiday season and wanting to just have a book that was just lighthearted. Because I find that sometimes books, like even Shiloh and Dande the Lion, it's a heavier topic involved in it, but our kids also need joyful books and fun books and lighthearted books, and not just books about our history and ancestors. Those are great, but they also want adventure as well. So I'm trying to make my books be geared towards not only children but family books as well. Right now the books range from ages 5 and up, so I'm thinking about maybe doing books geared towards like younger children as well. But like everyone's saying, once you kind of get that author bug and you write a book or two, it's like no stopping you, because then you come up with all these ideas. So right now for me, I'm just trying to hone in on that next idea and really try to focus to get that next book out. And also by trade, I'm a therapist in Washington, D.C. I live in the Maryland area. And so I like my books also to have like a social emotional type of element to it as well, like a strong lesson, but something that's also positive and inspiring.
Thank you.
My name is Paula Neal. I'm the author of I'm Gonna Have a Good Day. And this is my first book. It came out in late 2019. The sequel to the book will be out at the end of this year. But my book is about a little girl named Gabby, and Gabby likes to have a good day at school. But her good days means she's going to prank and she's going to tease all her classmates throughout the day. And then each time the teacher, Mrs. Beadle, attempts to correct her behavior, she has a series of meltdowns where she balls up her fists and she screams from the top of her lungs that she's going to have a good day, but she never does. So the book just follows her journey throughout the school day of her having fun at the expense of other kids. And then towards the end, there's a conversation piece with her mom where she's promising for a better day. But the cliffhanger comes there for the book number 2 that comes out this year. And my background is early childhood. So I've been an administrator for over 25 years. And most recently, I've been a director more specifically for children that are homeless. And so one of the things I found out was that in the early years, there's a lot of bullying happening. And if it's not actual bullying, then there are precursor behaviors. But unfortunately, here in Ohio, where I'm based in Columbus, Ohio, the face of bullying has always been middle school and high schoolers. But yet we have elementary kids who are committing suicide because of bullying. And so I've been having a lot of conversations with my colleagues talking about the origin of bullying. Some of us agree that it occurs in early childhood, but most of us believe that it does occur in early childhood. Hope I said that right, that it does. There's some that believe it doesn't. Then there's those of us that believe it does happen. And so I wanted to create a book number 1 that, like Ciara was saying, in our childhood, we didn't have books that looked like us and that we could be proud of. So number 1, I wanted to make sure that my nieces and nephews did not experience what I experienced. So rather than me always complaining about there not being quality books out there, I said, you know what, Paula, you're going to create these books and they're going to look like the girls and boys of today. And that's why this book is so successful, because it looked like the kids of today. And also, like Ciara said, I didn't want to create books where, once again, we're learning about slavery, and things are so removed from where our kids are today. I wanted books that would show our kids being typical kids, having celebrations, joys, experiencing sadness. Everyone has death in their families, but I wanted them to also just be proud and say, that's me every time they saw my book. That's me, which I didn't have that opportunity. I was always saying the opposite. That's not me, so I really enjoy writing now for other people versus myself. Yes, I get a lot of joy from it, but it makes me feel good that I'm creating for the current generation, and my books will be around for a long time. And I can't wait for the second one to come out because it's the sequel. But I wanted to tackle real topics. Yes, I want our kids to experience things, but I wanted the books to be relatable. The kids can see their experiences in them. But I also wanted to be a teachable moment for parents and educators too. And so my background right now is I work for our local university, Ohio State, in the College of Human Ecology. So I'm going to continue to create storybooks for young children that will allow them to allow other people, non-Black children, to have a window into our kids' lives and vice versa, what have you. My biggest goal is to eventually turn my book series into animation. I would love to see that happen. That's one of my biggest goals, but I'm very happy with how the book is doing so far. And then also be back up and thank you for allowing me to be a part of this panel with these other awesome authors that's talking about their experiences. I'm very looking forward to reading some of your materials too, because I'm a huge collector of children's books. So thank you.
Thank you. Oh,
I didn't realize my phone was muted. So, hi, my name is Ciara Parris-Moore, and my company is called Books to Inspire. We're a publishing company based out of Durham, North Carolina. And what we specialize in is books based on social emotional learning and building emotional intelligence. And the reason why I have that focus in books is because of my background in mental health. I worked with children doing therapy for about 18 years. And so I was inspired to write my first children's book, though, about my son who has autism and his journey with having autism and his love for cooking and eating. And so there's the Trey the Chef, and there's also this was released in 2019, and it has recipes in it as well, original recipes, as well as a lesson about what autism looks like for a younger child. So this book is more for like a 4 to 6 year old child. And then recently, as someone was saying about the love for writing, and you just keep going and going. So I wanted to create a whole series. And so I created the book, Trey the Chef Cooking Camp. And so in that book, it talks about his journey as an autistic child in a neurotypical setting, in a summer camp, cooking camp setting. And, my son is my biggest inspiration. Having initially my son diagnosed with autism at age 3 was very difficult. It was very challenging for me. There was some denial. There was some grief that I went through. Grief is not just about the loss of a person, but it's also about the loss of, it could be about the loss of anything, the loss of a relationship. And in particular with my son, the loss of what I thought my son could be, until I started to see him make progress and find his passion. And when I saw that he had a passion for cooking, like he would watch YouTube videos all day about cooking, still does, it really inspired me to say, and say this not for just myself, but for all parents who have special needs child, don't get caught up in what your child can't do, but focus on what your child can do, and foster that and nurture that. And so nurture their gifts. And so I created that first Trey the Chef book. And but my background, my second love, my second passion outside of autism is mental health. So I wanted to create children's books that spoke to different mental health conditions. And so, I wrote a variety of different books, one being Carrie the Photographer, which is about anxiety. And it has, it basically teaches kids the signs and symptoms of anxiety. And it also includes in there a meditation activity, because meditation works for me. I'm a big fan of meditation. And I think it's important to teach kids how to self-regulate and use coping skills. And so all my books basically have an activity in them, including this book, which is about anorexia. And it's interesting. Someone mentioned about elementary school children experiencing suicide and different things that, maybe back in my time, which was like in the 80s, you didn't see all of that. You didn't see kids that young taking their life. And you didn't see that kids that young at 9, 10 with eating disorders. And in my background and experience, I doing also case management, I saw a lot of young Latino children, 9 to 12 years old, going into the UNC eating disorder unit. And so that brought to light that issue not only in younger population, but in the Latino population. So I wanted to create a book that spoke to that taught kids the signs and symptoms of the fact that they may have the beginnings of an eating disorder, as well as giving them an activity that they can do to build their self-esteem. I am a big proponent of proactivity, being proactive, not waiting until the problem is out of control and the child has to be hospitalized, or even before the child has to be in therapy. I'm big on giving the kids the tools and skills so that they don't get to that point. There's nothing wrong with therapy. I mean, I'm a child therapist. I'm a big proponent of it, but why not get before that? Why not intervene before that, before the child has to go to therapy, by giving them some literature on what they're going through? I'm an anxiety sufferer. And, I didn't know at that time what it was. I knew something was wrong when I was experiencing the symptoms, but I would have loved to have had a book. I think that would have probably have changed my trajectory of my life, to have a book that gave me a name for it, that helped me identify what that was. So I didn't think I was just going crazy. So that's what I want to do for kids. And really quick, I have also my latest book on substance abuse. This was something that was very new to me that I tackled. There is also feedback from a licensed clinical addiction specialist in here, some resources for children and adolescents who have a parent that's in recovery. The opioid epidemic is really big right now. And I wanted to, I didn't see any children's books that spoke about that. And I wanted to give a platform or awareness on that particular issue by having a children's book about that. I believe in writing a children's book about what's going on today. You know, not so much, you know, in the yesteryear, but what they're facing now. So that's a long story, the long short story about me.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate that. Well, I guess I'll just say a little bit about myself. My name is Brendalyn Mantianor. I am a Canadian author of children's books and an upcoming Christian fantasy novel. I've written 5 books in all. 2 of them are in English, and the same 2 books are in French because I'm a French immersion elementary teacher. I'm currently teaching a grade 6 class. And the 5th book I wrote was for my students. I think it's over here. So it's called The Amazing 56, because they were a class of a 5-6 split. And this book is a dedication to my former students and a tribute to their former teacher because she passed away. Unfortunately, she had a car accident out of her control. And so the kids went through grief, asking questions. Why was it her? And then I had to come and teach them afterwards. So I was their second teacher. And I just saw how they, you know, came together. They had their own grieving moments, but in the same time, they showed so much resilience and joy and found goodness in the moments of the day. And so I dedicate this book to them. And I believe this is the most proudest book I've written because it was for someone, like some people too very close to me. But I'm really glad I'm doing this panel because I know that I have a background from Africa. My parents are from Ghana. And so I really want to also write books about that and how I felt different growing up, being the only Black girl in school or the only Black girl in class, people not understanding the color of my skin or making comments and tackling that in the children's book. And I didn't really know how to do that. And the best way to get research or to get firsthand information is from other authors who are doing so. And so I'm really glad that you are all here with me. And, you know, I'm learning a lot just by hearing you and your backgrounds, and I'm seeing all this connection. And you know, as a teacher, you also learn. So I'm learning as I'm going on, and I'm learning from you. And I thank you for that. So we're going to tackle the questions for the panel. And I'm going to ask you 3 questions because we kind of answered a little bit of all of them. But I'm really curious to see what you guys think of these questions. So I'm going to post the first one here. And I'm asking you, do you feel a sense of responsibility or duty to convey being yourself or the message in your book? If yes or no, and why?
I can go first. I definitely feel it. But first, I feel it for myself. It's like, how dare you complain about things not being there for you when you were growing up, but then you don't turn around and make it better. So I feel a sense of responsibility for myself to be true to myself. But also now that I have a platform and this that exposes itself to a lot of kids, especially kids of color, my attitude has become now is that you must focus on producing something that these kids will be very proud of. You know, I have a lot of type A people personalities in my families and friends, and they would tell me in a second, I know you didn't put this crap out, girl. You know, they would tell me, it's just the truth. But for me, it's all about the mirrors and windows now. And it's very important that I always put mirrors out there that Black kids can definitely see the images and characters and stories about them. But at the same time, those non-Black children can have that window to see and learn more about our kids beyond, you know, the typical stories that they're used to seeing or what have you, or things that they forget that makes us beautifully human, just like them or what have you. So yes, there's definitely a big sense of responsibility.
I'll go next. I definitely feel a sense of responsibility in what I'm representing in my genre, which is, you know, mental health, social, emotional, special needs. I want to make sure that what I capture in my books speaks to the audience. I want to make sure that I give my heart and put my heart in my book so that my audience can have a takeaway. You know, I'm big on takeaways. I just like going back to what I talked about with my own personal experience. I want children, especially now with everything that's going on with the pandemic, with the finance, all the things that they're probably internalizing that's going on with their parents or that they're experiencing themselves, that they are empowered in some way, even if it's just something as small as I can identify with this person in the book. I can identify with this character. I feel this way, giving them a voice, giving them a name to what's going on with them, but also letting them know that despite that, they can still go on to do great things. That despite that they have an anxiety or having autism or whatever they have, whatever challenge, because we all have our burdens to bear, that despite that they can become a children's book author, or they can become something great, whatever they want to become. It doesn't mean that it's going to hinder them in life. So I think that is the general theme of what the message that I want to give, that no matter what your challenges are, whether you have a parent that's in recovery from substance abuse or an active addiction, or whether you have a mental health challenge, or whether you have a developmental disability, you can still come through from that, go through and come out okay.
As a mom, I definitely feel that it's my responsibility to put out a book that is speaking to what I'm going through and what my children are going through. Because we have to understand that, we all know that there's not a lot of African American children books out there. So whatever is available for people to purchase, it is definitely scrutinized. It is definitely picked over and like, oh, well, her images might not look right. Well, I don't really understand that message that's in her book. So as listening to all of us, it seems like we all feel that same way, that we have to ensure on ourselves that we are putting out our best quality, because we know we don't have a lot of representation out there. So like they always say, when you're Black, even though you might be the brightest one in the room, you still have to work harder than everybody else that's doing the same exact thing, because we know that our books might be given the second or third eye just because of our characters, African American characters, or because of our content. So we have to ensure that we are putting out a positive message for everyone that is viewing our books. And it does give us a little extra pressure and definitely some extra anxiety on what we put out there, because we want to make sure that we're saying the correct message and that everybody is taking in the theme that we're putting out. Because when you read a book, everybody might get a different message that might not be exactly what you want to say. So we have to be extra careful in what we're putting out there, because we want to make sure that we're saying the right thing and that is understood and taken in a positive way for anybody that's reading our books.
I completely agree with her and everybody else 100%. So yes, to answer the question, I definitely feel a sense of responsibility. Like everyone's saying, we have to put out great work and we have to go above and beyond to do that. And if I'm putting my name on something and have the nerve to like dedicate a book to my son, it's got to be the best that I can do and the best that I can put out there. And then the other thing it makes me think about when I see that word like responsibility, I think it's also, to me, relates to having a certain genuineness and authenticity in what I'm writing. So as a Black woman, a Black therapist, a Black mother, the way that I write, my words, the things that I say, I need them to hold weight and be portrayed in a way that I need them to be portrayed, and not through a voice that's inauthentic, that's writing a book with a Black character. Because it's a difference between being a Black woman with Black children and writing a book in my perspective versus someone who doesn't have that same type of perspective. So when it comes to responsibility, I also think of that genuineness and that authenticity that also comes along with that responsibility for my books. And so I hope that when people do read, whether it's Shiloh and Dandelion or Soulful Holidays or whatever book that I decide to write, that they can feel that they can relate to that. Even if you take my book, Soulful Holidays, it was something about me just wanting to write something about the African American or Black culture. We do experience joy during holiday times. We like to play cards. We like to listen to music. We like to eat good food. That's a genuine thing that for myself and everybody I know, whether they celebrate Christmas, Kwanzaa, or whatever, that they can identify with in some capacity. So for me, I think responsibility is about being genuine and authentic in the things that I'm writing, the things that I'm putting out there.
Okay, thank you, ladies. Before I go to the next question, there was someone who said hello in the chat. So I'm just gonna put her up there. If I'm not mistaken, her name is Michelle. So she's going to be another author that will be talking on one of the other panels, but she just wanted to say hello to us. So hello to you too. And then if anyone else has other questions in the chat, you can just add your questions later, and then we'll put that after we're done all our questions. Okay, so here's the next question. So leaders set or lead by example. So my question is, so how do you live your life being yourself every day?
I'll take the first one. It's a mixture. I could definitely say it's a mixture, depend on the day. You know, some days we are ready to go and definitely a leader because we have to be leaders. So we have to be a leader in our profession. We have to be leaders for our children. We have to be leaders for our family. But then you also have, you know, a day where you might not feel as strong or you might not, might not have enough strength as needed for each day. So sometimes you might have to fall back and let somebody else take the lead for that day. So I am definitely in a mixture with that because for the most part, I am definitely doing everything. You know, you're up at 5:30 in the morning, making sure everybody gets their things together for you walk out of the door, and then you still have to go to work. You're there for your 6 to 8 hours. You come home and you still have another duty to do. So we are constant leaders every day, all day. But every now and then you have that moment where you definitely have to let someone else take the reign.
I'll go next. I think that how I lead by example is just how much I push myself. I hope that anyone seeing me and how I live my life are inspired to just really just go for it, go for their passion, go for whatever it is that wakes them up in the morning, gets them going. You know, they said that this pandemic spurred on like this wave of entrepreneurship, which was great. And I think that people are more than ever are really going for what they love, you know, what they're passionate about, what they're inspired to do. So I think that, and I hope that anyone seeing me and how I am pursuing this writing thing is inspired to really, children, adults, whatever, are inspired to really start pursuing their passion. You know, if you're not inspired, then you're not living. You know, you're just kind of existing. So I hope that if there's anything that people take away from seeing me is to really go for what they want.
Okay.
I can go.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, it's again very similar to what they're saying for sure. If I were, for example, and like have my therapist hat on and I'm working with clients, one thing I would always say is exactly what Ciara was saying, to go after your passions, to follow through. And I think for myself, if I didn't also live by that, I would be a hypocrite. So I think it's something about being able to practice what you preach. You're putting something out there. People are looking at you. So if I'm trying to inspire somebody or give somebody like a positive nugget of something, I need to be doing the same thing. And I think the second part of this question, which is like, how do you live your life by being yourself every day? One thing that I'm continually working on and learning is having grace for myself, because there's so much that's going on an everyday basis. I mean, people are stressed now more than ever. People are grieving with the pandemic. I mean, there's so many unprecedented things that are happening right now that we've never experienced before. And so in order for me to help try to lead by example, is also saying, you know what, Ciara, you need to give yourself some grace today. You worked hard, you did what you need to do, you cooked dinner, you played with your son, you talked to your husband. Now just take some time to yourself. Stop being so hard on yourself. And I think also too, by being an author, sometimes I feel pressure to make sure that I'm always doing something. If I'm sitting down watching TV, Ciara, you need to be writing. But sometimes, no, I don't. Sometimes I need to just sit right here and do nothing for a little bit. So giving myself grace, I think, is also something that I'm working on daily, and being able to practice what I preach.
I think you guys pretty much said it all. But one thing I will say is that when I was growing up, especially during my childhood, I was so insecure. And then the insecurity followed me early on in my adulthood, but also during my childhood. A lot of people recognized me as being a leader and pushed me into the leadership role without making sure that I had a lot of the tools to really be a leader. So I was being a leader for other people's benefit because Paula's so strong and she's so smart. And I would bury my head in books because I was so insecure with people and the world. So basically, when I look at that word leadership now, especially at the age that I am right now, it's like, how can you lead something if you're not even confident in who you are, and you don't know who you are? And then you allow other people, as you're going through that phase, to start putting titles on you or pushing, criteria on you, like being a leader. They start putting their thinking of who you should be and how you should think and act on you or what have you. So one of the things I've figured out over the course of my adulthood now is that, yes, I do have some leadership skills. I have a lot of it, but sometimes I needed to learn how to sit back and just watch other leaders. Don't always be the boss or what have you. So because that affects you in your professional and your personal life, especially if you don't know how to let go of the bossiness in your personal life. People are like, yeah, I'm leaving you alone. So now when I write books now, I keep that all in mind, because even in my current book, I'm going to have a good day. We always ask the kids, why do you think Gabby is the way that she is? And the way these kids think, they're right on target as to why they believe the way she acts or what have you. But it's been some mind-blowing moments for me as a dog going, I never considered that thinking or what have you. So I'm looking forward to continue to write books that gets kids thinking about the way people are and trying to learn about why people act the way they do, versus us telling them why we think they act the way they are or who they are or whatever. So it's a lot. It's a lot that we need to learn how to start taking our time and learn to get to know people for who they are versus who we want them to be or what have you. And I think that's very important now, especially in this era where people don't show much empathy or let alone sympathy for people, especially in a social media environment that we're in or what have you. These kids have their social emotional skills are so far disconnected from reality. But I just think it's so important, just looking back on my childhood, that when you're that insecure and you have people, yes, putting pressure on you, it may be good in their eyes, but sometimes you have to just stand back and let people figure out who they are, and then you can help people to get to where they are by accepting them and asking them questions versus making assumptions or what have you. But I think that's what makes a good leader. You recognize your own strength while recognizing your flaws, and you know when to step back and just learn from other leaders, and ask those very important questions.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to be asking one more question, but this time you can get your book. So you can pick one of your books and talk about it with this. And so the question I'm asking is, What last message do you hope to share or deliver with your book?
Sorry, wouldn't unmute. I'll go. So, and excuse the noise in the background. My kids are here. I thought this was supposed to be at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, so I sent my husband out with one cat, and now he was like, well, "I'm not going back out." So you might hear some noise in the background. So forgive me for that. I'm a mom. So anyway,
Nice.
so this book is my latest release. I just released it November of last year. It's Dad Got Out of Rehab. I don't think, and this is just my premise, I believe that children, right, are very intuitive and have a lot of awareness what's going on, whether you share that with them or not. Okay.
Mhm.
So if you're struggling with addiction or in your recovery and you think, oh, this is too sensitive of a subject or too mature or not inappropriate to share with children, guess what? They know what's going on, whether you share it with them or not. So I don't believe there's anything that a child cannot handle without the proper care and consideration. So this book is about a biracial family, okay? Because I looked on Amazon and surprisingly, there's a lot of search on Amazon for biracial books, but there's not a lot of biracial books on Amazon for children. So I wanted to make sure that the characters reflected a biracial family. And so in the book, it's about a dad who just got out of rehab and is experiencing what you see with recovery. You know, he's trying to stay on the right track. His family support him. I failed to mention, I'm a marriage and family therapist. So my discipline, my specialty is family therapy and working with children and families. And so I believe that family therapy, and what I see in addiction, that family therapy is a critical component of recovery for that individual. I don't believe that any individual is an island unto themselves. So the support that you get from your family, their involvement in your recovery, in your treatment is I think very crucial and vital for that individual. So I wanted to display that. This book is for 9 to 12-year-olds. I definitely think, even though 9 to 12-year-olds can read this book on their own, that a parent should be, or educator or a therapist, whoever, should be in the room with the child reading in case the child has any questions. Also, which was really, which I'm really proud of, because substance abuse, even though I've dealt with it in conjunction with mental health, it's not my discipline, it's not my thing, so to speak. But I partnered with a licensed clinical addiction specialist. Her name is Elizabeth Pritchard. She's also Black. And she created some things, some takeaways, some tips, some resources for children who have parents or just know someone that's in recovery. It could be an uncle, it could be an aunt, it could be a family friend, whoever that child's in contact with, that they're questioning what is going on with them. Why are they acting weird? Why are they acting funny? Where did they go for 28 days? Why are they not home? They will be able to get some awareness, some resources, so that they're not left in the dark, wondering and maybe suffering because that person is gone away for a little bit and they don't know what's going on. Yes, and there she is here. So just want to shout her out. She was so gracious to give those resources to this book. So yeah, that's my latest release. It's on my website, books2inspire.com.
Thank you.
I'll go.
Okay.
I'm hoping with my book, I'm going to have a good day. The message that what can I do it the right way? The message that I'm hoping to deliver to no matter who reads this book is kindness. Like every day, I don't care what age group, parents always tell their kids to have a good day at school. But we never stop to ask the kids, what do they think we mean when we say, I need you to have a good day? Because in their head, they're going, I am having a good day. I'm teasing, I'm pranking, I'm making jokes. I am having a good day. And you getting on top of me about having a good day. They're confused. And we have to literally stop and break it down to them as to what a good day means. So in this book, one of the most interesting things I found is that children under the age of 5 never ever use the word bully. And the word bully is never used in my book, but they never use the word bully. But their language as to why, but their language is very descriptive. When I read it to school agers, they immediately say, she's a bully. But no matter the age group, they all are rooting for her to be kind. And that's the thing I wanted to really come across, is for us to teach kids without saying, be kind, is to have a message about kindness without having to say the word kindness, and just ask kids questions just to see where their minds are and where their thinking process. Because you're right, kids do know. We don't give them enough credit. They do know a lot more. And so it's just been amazing to see that here I am trying to teach kindness, and these children who are answering these conversation starters for me are saying, yes, she needs to be kind, and this is how she can do it. Even a child that's so-called a bully in a classroom, they can't see their behavior, but they can see her behavior as unkind. I don't care what classroom I go into, there's always a teacher holding a child or two to saying, that's our Gabby over there. It could be a boy or girl. That's our Gabby over there. And the kids love the book, and they'll say, she's bad or whatever, but they can't see themselves. But at the end of the day, all of the kids understand kindness. They want her to be kind. And that's what I was trying to get across with this book.
Thank you very much.
For my book that I am truly in love with, I mean, like you, I mean, make sure I get in the right angle for the camera, because we're all sitting in a different angle. But my book that I absolutely love is the one that I wrote for my niece. One, because I love the cover the most. I just love all the positive words, the affirmations that a lot of kids need to hear right now. It's definitely about a little girl going throughout her day with her mom, like we always do. You know, we're running errands throughout the day, and as we're going out, there's different incidents that she might interact with other people who might not be kind to her. So it's like your book about being kind. So it's teaching kids, how do I deal with someone, whether it's a friend or whether it's a stranger who, you know, is saying something that I don't like. How should I react to that? And my books are definitely mainly for elementary age students, or for 5 to 8 year olds. And it's to encourage that self-love. Well, it doesn't matter what this person is saying to me. If I don't feel that way about it, then it doesn't matter. And that's what we have to teach our children at a young age, that you shouldn't completely take in what people say about you. Because, you know, the old saying is, sticks and stones might break your bones, but words should never hurt you. Well, a lot of kids don't feel that way this day and age. They don't feel that way at all. Like, words hurt them deeply. So we have to start teaching them that, you know, it's okay if your friend doesn't like your hair. Do you like your hair? You know, and that's what my book is promoting, that as she goes throughout her day, you know, maybe a clothing that she has on, a friend says, oh, that doesn't fit you that well. And then she's like, no, but I like it. You know, so you have to understand that we're not shaped the same. We don't look the same. Our complexions are different. And we have to accept those things that make us different as the best part of us, and not as a negative. So that's why my book is definitely talking to girls, because I see, you know, with boys, it's a different angle that you have to take with them, because they might not necessarily be concerned about what their friends say about their appearance, but it's definitely a thing that girls take to heart about what their friend or a stranger might say about their appearance. So it's to teach them at a young age, hey, you're beautiful just the way you are. No matter how someone might feel about your clothes, your hair, your speech, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. And that's what I try to promote within my books, which is Black Girl Be You. It says, Black Girl Be You, straighten your crown. So it's definitely a figurative language of saying, you know, worry about just improving yourself and learning about yourself and loving yourself. and not concerned about the world's appearance of you. Because, we say with social media, we're all given this guide of what is perfect. And children this day and age, unfortunately, is trying to live up to those standards. So as parents, we have to teach them, that is not you, and that's okay. And that's the message that I try to definitely portray within my book.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
For my book, Shiloh and Dande the Lion, it's a long children's book. It's actually basically like double the size of one children's book. And that's because I'm like, you know what, I got some stuff I need to say. And it's just got to be said. It's just got to be this long. And so there's multiple different concepts in it. The overarching thing, again, is overcoming adversity, accepting others, and courageously being yourself. So in this story, Shiloh is bullied at a new school because of the color of his skin. And as we know, any topic of anti-racism stuff can be kind of heavy. So what I try to do is wrap it around in an adventure where he has this dream, certain things come to life, and it's just an adventurous dream where he's learning a lot of different messages. I try to use a lot of symbolism and comparisons to try to get on a child's level so that they can understand the concepts. And so through this journey, he has a lot of adversity, a lot of things against him, but he learns through other people's experiences and seeing different things that, hey, I can be myself. I can courageously be myself, and that's okay. So before the end of the book, he's saying that he's brown, he's proud of who he is, but he has to go on a whole bunch of different journeys to finally get there. My vision for the book is that, again, similar to everyone else, that it's a talking piece. That is something that kids and families can do together, but also a classroom-based book. So on my website, ciaralhillbooks.com, I have a lesson plan for this book and even for Soulful Holidays. I do lesson plans for all of my books because I want people talking about it. I want people to be engaged with it. So whether a parent is doing this at home with their child or whether it's in a classroom, I want people to talk about that. What does it mean to overcome adversity? What does bullying mean? Who are the characters that bullied him? How did he overcome certain things? So I just feel like it's a book that many people can identify with, no matter what ethnicity, race you are. I think it's something that's beneficial for anyone.
That's great. Thank you. Okay, so that's the end of the panel. But before we go to the next thing, which is going to be very quick, let's see. There's one question I'm actually really interested in. It's in the comment. I'm going to pop it up here on the screen. It says, do you make adjustments to your delivery when you have an all-white audience?
No. No, I mean, I think, I guess for me, I'm a little different because I write the characters in my books are from all different backgrounds, Latino, Latina, Latinx, Latinx, Black, white. I try to represent a lot of different ethnicities and backgrounds because I'm all mixed up. I think interestingly, I don't want to say interestingly enough, but I have a lot of customers that are white, and they're white people like to buy Black books. I mean, I don't find that they shy away from it. I mean, usually when I do pop-ups and events, I'm the only author there, and I'm the only Black author, or Black person, or one of very few. And I find that they gravitate to that. I think that there's a big push to diversify your shelf. So a lot of white customers or white readers want to have shelves with different ethnicities, especially people of color. I think the world is changing, and as a result of the recent, the events with, the unfortunate event that happened with George Floyd and all the stuff that happened after that. I think the world is really changing to try to learn about different cultures, especially Black culture, since we've been to the forefront of this whole thing. And so, no, I don't shift or change my message. I don't change who I am. I don't change my delivery. I talk how I talk. I act how I act. And I don't find that impacts my sales and I don't change it for the audience. So that's just my take.
And I definitely agree with you. At the beginning, when you're learning about the author process, they always tell you to find your target audience, right? They say you can't reach everyone. So you have to find a group to focus on. So my target audience are African American readers, families, young children. So of course we do have a variety of people that purchase our books, but the message within the book will always be the same no matter who gets the book. And it is, Black love, standing up for yourself, or early literacy, math skills. So the topic in the book never changes no matter who the reader might be. So I definitely will not change depending on who asks a question or who chooses to read the book. My message will always be the same.
I agree. My book, okay, with white students, they never ever talk about the color of the character. They're too engaged with the story. And it just goes back to white kids they're not told that Black kids are bad until an adult opens their mouth and say they're bad, or shown that they're bad or whatever. If anything, what I've noticed is they've been more accepting, like, wow, more like, without having to say it, they're it's like their eye is opening to something that looks different and they're open to it. But then after that, they're like, whatever. They're more immersed in the story, just like any other book. I have had one episode, and this is after having numerous great experience. I did have one episode recently. My book was placed in all of our libraries here in Columbus. And there was this family where I was introducing my book, and it was a white family. And I was introducing the book to her, and her whole facial features and just her body language in general was like, get away from me. I'm not interested in this. It was like a, you know what I mean? And she already had her mind made up that before a book was even put in front of her face, that anything from a Black skin or a brown skin wasn't good enough for her and her family. So I knew it had nothing to do with my book. But then I've seen situations where people believe in that critical race theory. Number one, it's not being taught in school. Let's be realistic. It's not being taught. But some people have bought into that. And so you can see some people, when you're starting to read the story and they're holding on page by page, trying to figure out when it's going to come in with a Black child is making the white child feel bad or whatever. And it never happens. So you do have some of those who kind of still a little apprehensive about the Black face in the book, but then that melts away too. But with my book, it has nothing to do with race. The fact that yes, it's a Black child on the cover, and the kids in the book are very diverse, but it's something about something much bigger or what have you. So I never, even if it wasn't, I would never change my truth, my identity for somebody else, no matter who the audience is. You're either going to accept what I'm putting out there, or you're not. I would never change, because it goes back to what Ciara says. You have to be authentic and true to yourself, because if you're not, it's going to come across that way. And I would never short sell myself, especially my people, just to make money or what have you. My job is not to make you feel comfortable, even though I do see discomfort in you as I'm turning this page, because you're wondering, when am I going to talk about racism? When the book is about, I'm going to have a good day. It's not my job to make you comfortable, but my audience, which has been across the board, as far as social economic status, race, everything, it's been awesome. Everybody just welcomes it.
Once again, I agree. I do not change my delivery, no matter what race or ethnicity the audience is. I look at the messages in my book as universal. And I think that's also the stigma that our society has, that sometimes that if we have a book that features BIPOC characters, that it's only geared towards Black children and Black families, when in fact, the goal for most or many Black authors is for our book to be universal, for everybody to read, so everybody can learn from something, or take something away from it. And for me, especially, taking something away from it that's positive, that's meaningful, that's not stereotypical of what certain people may think. So I like to have books, and I think many other Black authors or BIPOC authors have books that have universal messages, but in my case, featuring books that with characters that are BIPOC, so people can see that that's okay. That's okay for that to exist. You know, we're all human at the end of the day. So let's learn from each other. Let's look at this and let's take something away from it in a very positive way. Thanks.
Thank you so much. That, I think this question is really good. Also because, you know, some people may feel, especially if they're a new author, they may feel that they have to do that. But, you know, having that already inside you, knowing that you have to be authentic, you have to stick to what you believe in. And as Ciara said before, you can't be a hypocrite. You can't portray yourself as one way, and then when you see a certain group or certain people, you want to please them. So it is a strong thing to understand that your book, the way you believe, the messages or what you want to convey must stay the same regardless of who your audience is or how they will approach you. Like Paula said, if they look kind of repelled about your story, that's how they feel, and that's how you feel also. So I think it's a good thing that we're all sticking to that, and it's a great encouragement to, especially for, you know, readers that are going to see our books, or, you know, potential writers in the future. So thank you for that. So this is the end of our panel. We will go through one more time just that you guys can share the title of your book and where they can get it. And later I'll contact you and I'll get your information and just put it in this description. So whoever sees this video for the afterplay, they can just click your link and then they can go and see your books. So maybe we'll go backwards this time. We'll start with Ciara, then Paula, then Ciara, then Latoshia, and we'll see how everything goes.
Well, I think I show my books a lot, but I'll show them again. So being that this is Black History Month, I'll show you the two Trader Chef books. You know, this one right here is for 4 to 7. This one is for 6 to 8. And so you can actually, so like I said, this book is about anyone, for anyone, but specifically if you love someone who has autism, this is a great book to introduce that topic to a child about autism, what it looks like. And these books can be found on my website. This is the back of the books. The books can be found on my website. It's books, the number 2 inspire.com, books, the number 2 inspire.com. I also have blogs on there as well. I write, I believe in fine tuning your craft. So if I'm not writing a book, I'm writing a blog. So I write blogs on mental health. I write blogs on autism and different things to offer a resource to the parent. So the gift is the book for the child, but the resources are gifts to the parents. So there's plenty of resources on my website, blogs that parents and caregivers or whoever works with children with challenges can enjoy. And I have a whole collection of books, and these books are part of a series called The Heroes We Know. And I came up with that name, The Heroes We Know, because of the fact that I think anyone that has any challenges, whether it's having a challenge because you have a parent that has a mental health issue, or whether you have a mental health issue, or whether you have a developmental one, that you are a hero. And the fact that you push through, power through, get up every day and meet life at the door, you are a hero. And I don't think we give enough credit to people that they're heroes, especially with everything that has recently happened with the suicides, with some very prominent, people, Miss America, Regina King's son. There's so much really there's so much mental health going on that's being brought to light, thank God, in the black community. And so I think that people that are still get through their day and are still here and they're dealing with those kind of challenges are heroes. So that is my Heroes We Know series. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
My book, I'm still bad at this. I'm going to have a good day. Can be found on my website, paulajohnsonneal.com. If you are a parent with a child experiencing bullying, or your child is seeing someone else being bullied, or if you have a child that just simply believes the world revolves around them, and you want to have a great book to share with them that will allow for a conversation starter about kindness, this is an awesome book for you and your child to choose. But once again, it can be found at www.paulajohnsonneal.com. Thank you.
Thank you.
For my books, I prefer indie bookshops. So Liberate Your Bookshelf is one that I love, that I work closely with. So you can find my books there, but they're also available mainstream, like on Amazon and all major retailers. And also, if you go to my website listed on here, ciaralhillbooks.com, you can find those free lesson plans that go along with each book, and a couple other things, some coloring sheets, and like a little pledge certificate for kids that get through Shiloh and Dande the Lion, to just pledge that they're going to embrace diversity, accept others, and courageously be themselves. So you can check that on my website and all major retailers, and in particular, liberateyourbookshelf.com as an independent bookshop.
Thank you.
Well, I love to send everybody to my own personal website, just because, like everyone else, we all give our extra bonuses on our own personal websites. So mine is martinchildrensbooks.com. And on my website, you'll find all of my books, along with, I created some workbooks that go along with my books, since I'm an education major. I definitely have a lot of workbooks and journals available for elementary age students. And also with Missy here, I also have lesson plans that match all of my books that can be used within the classroom with homeschool parents. And just if you want extra practice at home with your kids on the different topics, I do provide all of those items for free on my website. When you purchase a book, it's easy, it sends it straight to your email for those free activities. And also, I do provide my books on the major retail sites, Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. And for my books and my journals are also found on Amazon also, depending on different people's purchases, but preferences. I'm sorry, but definitely within my website itself, I give a lot of freebies just for just purchasing from the independent author, because we all know as independent authors, it's a lot of work on our end, and we build it up because we love what we do. So it's definitely best to purchase from all of our own personal websites.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. So I really appreciate you all once again for being here with me. At my school, personally, I'm in charge of Black History Month. So we're really concentrating on Black pioneers that shaped Canada. And so we've been really learning a lot. And then on Friday, students had a trivia that I gave them. And so I put a bin outside my classroom and told them to answer the questions and put in the bin. Didn't see anyone coming, so I was like, oh, whatever. Until I heard little kids, where's the bin? Where's the bin? And then I looked down the hallway and there are like 20 kids from all the elementary classes coming downstairs. So it shows that kids are really interested. What they don't know, kids like to gravitate towards new information. And so I'm really glad that you were able to share where you can get your books, because I'm definitely getting all your books for my school. I have permission to do that, so that kids have different other different books that they can look through, and not just during Black History Month, but they can have it throughout the year, because it's stories that apply every day and not just for 28 days out of the whole year. And so thank you again for being here. And I hope that you guys will join me for the other events that will be coming up, maybe just coming in and pop in and see how everything is. But I really appreciate you all being here and giving your time and sharing your experience. And I've learned a lot. And I hope you all have a blessed rest of your day.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
No worries.
Thank you. Bye. Have a great Saturday.
Yes. Take care, everyone. And thank you for joining us if you are online today. Have a great day. Bye.
You too. Bye.